Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm Christoph Meyer-Grimberg. I'm a member of Unity's partner church team. And I will let Mary Baremore, the Unity's board chair, formally welcome you all, but allow me a few introductory comments first. My wife went on a pilgrimage to Transylvania in 2013, and it took me 5 years to go myself for the first time, to have this transformative experience, this journey, and then I've gone several times since. And so it's super exciting today to celebrate this dedication of this beautiful Székely Gate. It's a symbol of our partnership we had between Unity Church and Homoródszentpéter in Transylvania, which is a small village of less than 200 individuals, a Unitarian village with who are proud Hungarians in current day Romania. We want to pay tribute today to the early pioneers and key drivers of this partnership. It's Reverend Rob and Jan Eller-Isaacs and Tibor and Olga Zsoltai and many others who helped to build this partnership through their passion, their hard work and generosity. And of course, Reverend Kinga-Réka, who has been at the center of this partnership since she became the minister in Homoródszentpéter in 1995. And the Gate invites us to think about the future of this partnership with hopefully many future mutual trips between St. Paul and Homoródszentpéter. A few words about the Gate and this partnership. The Gate was gifted to Unity by Homoródszentpéter in 2019. It was finally imported this year and then put up. And others later in the program will say more about the significance of the Gate and the relationship, but for sure today is a highlight of this 35-year relationship that we have. The partnership officially started in 1990, and since 2001, about 155 individuals from Unity have traveled to Homoródszentpéter in 14 pilgrimages, and about 30 individuals went multiple times. Could I get a show of hands of everybody who's been to Homoródszentpéter? Wonderful. Wow. And more than 20 villagers from Homoródszentpéter have come to St. Paul over the years. And could I have a show of hands of the villagers who are visiting from Homoródszentpéter? Let me acknowledge and thank a number of individuals and groups before we kick off the program. First and foremost, our visitors from Homoródszentpéter who made the long trip from Transylvania to be here with us, and they've been here for the last 3 weeks. Second, the Minnesota Hungarians who have supported the Gate project financially, with logistics advice, and bringing Hungarian food, music, and dance to the event today. I also would like to thank the Unity staff and the many members of the partner church team who have supported and nurtured this relationship between Unity and Homoródszentpéter over the years. And in particular, I'd like to thank Zsolt Székely, who sits here in the front row, because he was the driving force in getting the Gate to St. Paul and helped also helped also with putting it up, putting it together and putting it up. And this is particularly interesting because, and relevant because his great-grandfather lived in St. Paul, coincidentally, in 1917 for several years before I went back to Transylvania. So thank you, Jolt. Also would like to thank Jim Oberly, who is handing out programs, who organized the event today. And I'd like to thank my wife, Renee Meyer-Grimberg, who organized and coordinated all the 1,000 details of the trip over the last 3 weeks of our visitors here. And of course, has also been a part of the partner church team for many years. And thanks everybody else who came today to celebrate with us. It's really exciting. Enjoy the program, and please join us for refreshments after the program in the parish hall just around the church through the main entrance. Please also check out a exhibit we just finished in the Robbins Parlor, which is a meeting room on the second floor, which has a timeline and many pictures and videos and other documents about the 35-year relationship. And now let me pass the microphone to Mary Baremore, the chair of Unity's Board of Trustees.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Unity Church, Unitarian, I welcome you all to Ingratitude on this remarkable day as we reaffirm our deep roots of connection and friendship and shared faith. My family and I had the privilege of traveling to the village in 2013 during a trip that included about 17 youth. Little did we appreciate the impact that pilgrimage would have on our lives and on the connections we have maintained over the years. It is a truly remarkable experience that I commend to anyone seeking a deeper understanding of our Unitarian roots and the building of relationship between people that you do not yet know. I have a few people I'd like to also recognize today in conjunction with what Christoph just said. First, I want to acknowledge and thank the pilgrims, the people who have come here from Homoródszentpéter to be with us, to engage with us, to question us, to challenge us in how we are and who we are, and to give us a new outlook on the world and on our lives. So we already have heard from them, but maybe they could stand for a moment just for us to acknowledge them and welcome them and express our gratitude for them. And 3 are missing. They have already returned back to Transylvania or to Hungary. So we are sorry that they are not with us, but they also had I believe, a wonderful time while they were here, and we loved seeing them. We also have special guests that we would like to welcome today and honor. Dr., forgive my pronunciation, Dr. Balázs Mártonffy, Consul-General of Hungary, representing Hungary in Chicago, Illinois. He has come up here from Chicago. Csilla Grauzer, who is the Honorary Consul of Hungary to Minnesota. Good morning and welcome. Gabriella Sinka Heath, is she? Oh yes, Gabriella, hello, good morning. Gabriella is the president of the Minnesota Hungarians. And we also recognize Kitty Goggins, although I did not make acquaintance before we started this morning. Kitty is the daughter of Tibor and Olga Zoltai, and who helped forge the early relationships with the village. We are grateful that you are all here this morning with us. We are also pleased to welcome the Ethnic Dance Theater, and is it Szászka? Folk music band, and our dancers. We're so excited that you are here this morning offering us this wonderful artistic refreshment. I want to put a special heartfelt thank you to the partner church team for many months, maybe years, of planning this and organizing this and communicating everything to us so we could be part of this experience in relationship with one another and with our partner church in Homoródszentpéter. Everything has been organized in fine detail for us to be able to enjoy our time with the pilgrims and to be able to appreciate what the gate means in the context of our relationship. I want to especially thank Renee Meyer-Grimberg and Christoph Meyer-Grimberg for their leadership and for their thoughtfulness and their quick thinking in emergencies when two of our pilgrims were not able to land in Canada because of some visa issues. They had to quickly scramble and find new tickets. The quick reboot of events, no, we can't do that today. We're going to run over here and do this. Everybody show up. Who can sponsor the dinner tonight? Who can just great communication, great planning, great execution of the plans. And I want a special thank you to them right now. Thank you very much. Just wonderful, wonderful work. As well as the partner church team for all of the effort. It has been so wonderful. I want to thank our hosts who have invited the pilgrims into their homes and opened their hearts and their refrigerators to make sure that our guests were well fed and had company and community and were comfortable in the homes that they were staying in. I think from everything I've heard, it was a wonderful experience for everyone, and it is very exciting to know that that was part of this. Thank you to Unity staff for all that has been laid out and presented for us to be, again, comfortable and provide a welcoming environment for our guests to be here, and all the hard work. And it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. I also want to just say a short thank you and blessing for the Reverends Rob and Jan Eller-Isaacs. I believe we might be here today if they had not been part of this journey. But the complexion of that would be very different than it is today. They enabled us to grab a hold of this thing, this faith, this relationship, and the depth of understanding of where we come from and why we are in relationship with people that we don't know, that we have come to know and come to love. It is because of them and our willingness to follow where they were wanting to lead us. And I issue a special, maybe a quiet moment of silence, if you please. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn over the remarks to Barbara Hubbard, who was herself a pilgrim just a few short years ago, but also worked closely with Rob and Jan in the crafting of this ministry that we are partaking of today. So, Barbara, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. I am honored to be with you today as we dedicate this beautiful Székely Gate and celebrate our enduring partnership with our Transylvanian friends. Christoph talked about Unity's establishment of the sister church team back in 1990. This was right after the fall of communism, and the UUA invited UU congregations in America to partner with Transylvania Unitarian congregations. And that first decade that was led by Olga and Tibor Zoltai, and Ruth Stryker Gordon was the chair of that team. I'm imagining some of you maybe were on that original sister church. It was called Sister Church Team at the beginning. Are there people who were on that original team? That was a long time ago. Phyllis Jean Jones was the first pilgrim to go from Unity over to Transylvania, and that was in 1993. And I want to mention that her daughter, Stephanie Martineau, is here in our participating today. So thank you for being here, Stephanie. Yeah. So during the same time that in that decade when the sister church team was working here at Unity Church, Jan and Rob Eller-Isaacs were serving the UU Church in Oakland, California. They were very actively involved with Project Harvest Hope, which was, whose mission was to nurture the Székely spirit and the traditions of rural life in the Unitarian villages of Transylvania, with a core vision of community and economic development and the renewal of civil society. So when they arrived here in the year 2000, they were already engaged in partnership in Transylvania. I began working at the church in 1998, and social justice efforts were rather tenuous at that time. We had 3 teams, our sister church team, the Evergreen Quilters, and a Malawi team. But the church provided neither staff support nor financial support to these teams, and so it was pretty tenuous back there. In fact, Ruth Stryker Gordon resigned as chair of that sister church team in 1996 due to lack of institutional support. Jan and Rob accepted the call to Unity Church in 2000 as senior co-ministers, and they led their first official pilgrimage in 2001. That pilgrimage began a long and rich relationship with Kinga and with the people of the village. But as always happens in pilgrimage, it did more. Jan and Rob's first year at Unity Church was a bit rough, if some of you remember, particularly for Jan, who didn't quite believe that their ministry was going to stick. She talked about when Oakland rough meets Minnesota nice. And the tension there and some of the cultural differences. It was that first pilgrimage in 2001 when they took a group of Unity Church pilgrims, many of you I see in this audience today, to Transylvania to be with our sister church, our partner church in Homoródszentpéter. Peter. And not only were the benefits of pilgrimage that we'll talk about in a minute really realized, but also what happened for Rob and Jan was that it really solidified their call and their commitment to Unity Church Unitarian through the deepening relationships with those pilgrims at that time. Jan and Rob were deeply committed to pilgrimage, not just to our partner church in Homoródszentpéter, but to pilgrimage. In addition to the pilgrimages to the partner church, they led pilgrimages to Bolivia, Boston, New Orleans, India, and Malawi. The impact of pilgrimage became evident through the stories from pilgrims, but also, dare I say, through the congregational survey. You know how Rob loved to measure things, and one of the things that we did in our congregational survey over the years was to ask people about their participation in different programs at the church and the impact on those programs. And it was so interesting to see that after worship, pilgrimage rated second. Very profound, I think, transformational experience for people. So what's so powerful about pilgrimage? Pilgrimage is a journey with fellow travelers, a time together when you can't help but learn about each other and go deeper. It's a journey into unknown places, often creating discomfort, but also creating opportunities for wonder and transformation. Pilgrimages through Hungary and Romania are a journey to Unitarian Holy Land, to sacred places where our early history began and unfolded. But at its core, pilgrimage is an opportunity to build friendships that allow understanding of each other's humanity beyond the differences in history and culture and language and politics and even religion. I had the great privilege and opportunity to go on the 2019 pilgrimage, which was Rob and Jan's last pilgrimage. It was a marvelous experience for me in many, many ways. We traveled with fellow pilgrims to the holy sites and then into the village to meet our friends. And once we were there, we shared meals, we worshiped together, we sang, we prayed, we bowled in the bowling alley, we danced, we traveled into the hills on horse-drawn wagons and shared our love with each other. One highlight that stands out for me was meeting the village bell ringer, whose name is Anna. Is she still ringing the bell? That would be about 20 years now of ringing the bell every day, 3 times a day, for 5 minutes per time, at sunrise, at noon, and then at dusk. As you know, I have a love of the bell. And so when I had a chance to meet Anna one evening, I took the opportunity the next morning to get up at 5:15 and to meet her in the bell tower and to ring that bell that morning. She and I had no language between us. We couldn't really communicate except through our love of the bell. And when I met her that morning at sunrise, I remember that we hugged and we kissed and we had this love for each other through the bell. It's a remarkable thing that happens when you go on pilgrimage. Being a pilgrim invites us to see, as Rob Eller-Isaacs often said, with pilgrim eyes, to see our world, our values, our very purpose in life objectively, as though from the outside, and all of this in the company of others who are doing the same thing, temporarily disjointed from the mundane, getting a glimpse of who we really are, what we really value, and why we're really here. Pilgrimage was a spiritual practice for Rob and Jan, like walking the labyrinth of life. And in 2019, one of the things that we were, some of us, uncomfortable doing, but required to do, was to journal, and then to respond to a focus question, and then share. And I remember some of the pilgrims in our group were quite uncomfortable with that, but we did. So in closing, what I would like to do is to read to you 2 excerpts from Rob's journal back in June of 2019 during the pilgrimage. These were published in the 11th edition of Karen's, the Journal for the Arts of Unity Church Unitarian. And so I read from Rob's journal. On June 23rd, 2019, Saturday, he writes, "Despite the discomfort, despite all my complaining, the village and another just over the hill are graven on my heart. Most of my friends have turned away, eager for the new and different opportunities, or dismayed that our friends here won't condemn Mr. Orban, the ruler in Budapest. But I remain loyal. In the end, it's all about love. We have leaned into a strength here, and I, for one, will not betray my promises." And the second entry was the next day, on Sunday, June 24th, 2019. "The service was magnificent. The Lord's Prayer in Hungarian and English at once was a magical acrostic that called love down into that sweet blue room. And the Minnesota flag that flew in Gary de Kramer's Senate office was the best gift ever given. Tears flowed freely. There was even laughter amidst the tears. It was a beautiful moment. We sang 'Gathered Here,' and later, Dona nobis pacem. Jan and I both spoke about the many meanings of the flag. We committed to continuing the partnership. I hope we offered more than good intentions. And here we are today with this beautiful Székely Gate, reminding us of our friendship, our partnership for the past 35 years and going forward. Blessings.
Én voltam az alámnak legkedvesebb. is a joy to stand here today beside the Székely Kapu, one of the most recognized Hungarian cultural heritage symbol, and surrounded by the members of Unity Church Unitarian, the congregation from Homoródszentpéter, and the dedicated Unity Partner Church team. I'm also honored to the presence of Dr. Balázs Mártonffy, our Consul-General of Hungary in Chicago, Csilla Grauzer, our Honorary Consul in Minnesota, and the members of the Minnesota Hungarians. I see many of them. Thank you for coming, and guests. The relationship between the Minnesota Hungarians and Unity Church began more than 20 years ago. What started as a simple introduction grew into a strong and lasting partnership. This connection was sparked by the vision of Csilla Grauzer together with Barbara Hubbard. Over the years, this friendship has deepened and Unity has become more than a venue. It became a home. Years ago, Olga Zoltai opened her house nearby to host the Hungarian Kids Club. When the club blossomed into Misi Hungarian Language School in 2014, it felt natural to turn to Unity for classrooms. Today, both the Minnesota Hungarians and our Misi School have found not only space here, but what we fondly call our unofficial Hungarian house. I first heard about the Székely Kapu a few years ago. Right away, I reached out to Jim Oberly, both a Unity Church member and Minnesota Hungarians board member, to ask how we could help. Because this partnership has always been about, building together, building culture, building community, building friendship, building bridges, or apparently building a Székely Kapu. When I learned that the Székely Kapu had been completed in Homoródszentpéter, but that help was needed with logistics, I was happily able to help Christoph and team. At the same time, as a president of the Minnesota Hungarians, along with our board, initiated fundraising efforts so that we could also contribute financially. Over the past year and a half, we raised thousands of dollars to pinch in to make this dream a reality. Today, as we celebrate, I want to express heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the Minnesota Hungarians. Thank you, Unity Church, for walking with us for over decades. Thank you, Homoródszentpéter, for reminding us our shared heritage knows no borders. And thank you all who keep this partnership alive, past, present, and future. The Székely Kapu standing tall here will be a lasting reminder for all of that. Köszönöm szépen. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Balázs Mártonffy. I'm the Hungarian Consul-General in Chicago, and it is truly a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm a guest here, and I can see the strength of your partnership, the strength of the partnership between Homoródszentpéter, Unity Church Unitarian, and the Minnesota Hungarians is truly alive and well. It's my third trip to Minnesota. I've only been in this job for a year, but I feel like at home. So first, thank you so much for making me feel at home. It's truly a pleasure to be here. We have a saying in Hungarian, which makes me remind myself that I'm a guest. It's about guests. It says, a vendégnek kétszer örülünk, mikor megjön, és amikor elmegy. Which loosely translates to, we're glad for guests twice, when they arrive, but also when they leave. Which reminds me to keep my remarks short. So I'll be very short, I promise you that. I've been asked to sort of put together what I think of when I see the Székely Kapu, the Transylvanian Gate. And for me, it's a symbol of three things. It's a symbol of unity, a symbol of strength, and a symbol of hope. A symbol of unity because it expresses the mutually constitutive nature of the Hungarian nation and the Hungarian state. You're familiar with the complex history of Hungary and how our nation expands far beyond the borders of Hungary as a state. The state does a lot it can for the nation, and the nation does a lot for the state, which has been alluded to previously in the remarks by Barbara Hubbard about unwavering loyalty and refusal to betray. Because the two have been co-constitutive for 1,000 years, and Hungarian statehood and nationhood, while sometimes overlapping, have been used to being far apart. What keeps us together is unity, and what keeps us together is you, visitors from Homoródszentpéter, the Hungarian state, Hungary, and the broader concept of Hungarian nationhood. The second concept, when I look at the Transylvanian Gate that comes to mind, is that it's a symbol of strength. It's the strength of your community, of the community here, which is such a great partnership, and it has been mentioned so many times by the previous speakers. What a great partnership, what I come and see and witness and feel part of. And this is the strength of your community that I see whenever I look at this Székely Kapu. The third, which is very relevant for me, is that it's a symbol of hope. Because while you erect the Székely Kapu for yourselves, you also erect it for your children and for your families. And I think that's sort of the concept of hope, the symbol of hope, when I look at the Székely Kapu, that really springs to my mind. Because this is what Hungarianness and the Hungarian nationhood is all about, passing it on to the next generation. So this year I took my family, my 3-year-old, to Transylvania. We almost made it to Homoródszentpéter. We stopped at Homoródfürdő, but we came very close. And the reason I took her there is because my family has lots of ties to Székelyföld and Erdély, and it's important for her to understand what these things mean in person, because you can only experience these things in person. And that's why I'm so glad Homoródszentpéter congregation is here, and thank you so much for your hospitality at the Unity Church Unitarian, for hosting them, and for the Minnesota Hungarians for doing all your hard work. President Sinka, Heath, Gabriella, and Honorary Consul Csilla, Grauzer. És magyarul csak nagyon röviden, tényleg megtiszteltetés itt lenni, és nagyon sok jó sikert kívánok, és örülök, hogy egy ilyen emlékezett napon is itt lehetek önökkel. Thank you so much. Have a lovely celebration.
Greetings. It is beautiful to be here today, and being from Transylvania myself, having this gate here, it will be a special, special thing to have. Thank you. Friendship, commitment, common purpose, mutual respect, shared values, trust, kinship, unity, collaboration, enduring ties, and love. These are the words that connect us, the reason we're here today. Words to remind us of the bond that has grown between our communities. A bond nurtured over decades and speaks of a friendship that reaches beyond borders. May this gate stand as a lasting reminder of love and peace, a sign that our lives are interwoven with one another, and a symbol of compassion in a world that needs our love, compassion, and hope for peace more than ever. We've had the good fortune to welcome many Hungarian dignitaries to Minnesota and Unity Church in the past few years. Consuls from New York, Chicago. Thank you for being here again. Ambassador Szatmári 15 years ago at my installation as Honorary Consul for Minnesota. I have to tell you that our community holds a special place in their hearts, even after being here in February. Deputy State Secretary for National Policy, Dr. Péter Szilágyi from the Prime Minister's office, has been here several times, but couldn't be here today, but sent a short message I'd like to read to you. Tisztelettelű lelkipásztorok, elnökasszony, hölgyeim és uraim, kedves vendégek! Sok szeretettel köszöntöm Önöket a Homoródszentpéteri Unitárius Egyházközség által adományozott Székely kapu felavatása alkalmából. Egy ilyen ajándék értékét nehéz túlbecsülni, és üzenetét nehéz egyszerű jelzőkkel átadni. A székelyek egyik büszkesége és a magyarság egyetemessé vált jelképe ez az ajándék, amelyet ma Önök felavatnak. Ahol Székely kaput lát a magyar szem, ott azonnal tudja, hogy összetartó, nyitott, büszke és szeretetteljes közösség van. A Székely kapu nekünk, magyaroknak, a sokszínűségben megvallott egység jelképe. Ezért méltó, hogy a Unity Church is átléphet majd ezen a kapun. A Székely kapu hirdeti nemzetünk és nemzeti hagyományaink sokszínűségét, hiszen emlékeztet bennünket arra, hogy a magyarságot egy sokszínű közösség alkotja, akik évszázadok óta őseik szülőföldjén élnek. Évszázados gyökereikre is emlékeztet ez bennünket, hiszen a Székely kapuk első említése a 17. századból van. Ugyanebben a században történt, hogy az első európaiak a mai Minnesota területére érkeztek. Hálás a szívünk, hogy a nemzeti egységünk jelképe Minnesotában is jelen van. Nemzeti egységünkre mindenki hivatalos, aki magyarnak vallja magát, vagy mert megérintette, megragadta a magyar kultúra. Hálásak vagyunk a minnesotai magyaroknak, hogy a magyarság általuk otthonra találhatott, és talál a North Star State-ben is. Örömteli ünneplést kívánok Önöknek, Unity Church tagjainak, a homoródszentpéteri vendégeknek és a minnesotai magyaroknak. Dear Reverends, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it is with great pleasure that I greet you on this occasion of the dedication of the Székely Gate, a generous gift from the Unitarian parish of Homoródszentpéter in Székely land. This gift is more than a beautifully carved gate. It carries with it centuries of tradition, pride, and the enduring spirit of the Hungarian people. The Székely Gate has long been a symbol of our heritage. Wherever Hungarians see such a gate, they recognize a community that is united, open, proud, and full of love. It speaks to our diversity as a nation, and yet also to the unity that binds us together. The presence of a Székely Gate here in Minnesota is especially meaningful. Its roots go back to the 17th century, the very same century when the first Europeans arrived in this land. How fitting, then, that today the North Star State becomes more home to a symbol that connects our deepest past with our shared present. Hungarian culture is rich and multifaceted, and it welcomes all who are touched by it. I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Hungarian community in Minnesota and Unity Church for ensuring that Hungarian heritage not only survives, but flourishes here. Through your efforts, the Székely Gate will stand as a lasting reminder of friendship, unity, and cultural pride for generations to come. I wish you all a joyous celebration on this special day. With warm regards, Dr. Péter Szilágyi, Deputy State Secretary for National Policy, Prime Minister's Office of Hungary. Thank you.
napot kívánok! Isten áldja! Good morning and bless you. And first of all, please adjust your ears to my Transylvanian Hungarian accent. Dear friends, Hungarians and Americans, today, this day, is about accomplishment, love, and bold plans. Today we mark the end of a 7 years process. We have successfully completed a project. We have erected the Székely Kapu in Minnesota. We are celebrating 35 years of partnership, but in reality, it is more than that. Whether you believe it or not, people from Homoródszentpéter visited Minnesota, St. Paul, and also Chicago, Illinois, more than 100 years ago. We still have families in Homoródszentpéter who have pictures, photos taken here in St. Paul, actually, the 1910s and 1920s. They were working here. And as you already heard, one of their living descendants is Zsolt, whose great-grandfather lived here. Miklós Székely was his name. He was called here Nicky Székely. Would he have thought that we would be dedicating a Székely Gate today? Maybe yes, maybe not. You were talking about coincidences and by accident, but we are a little bit more religious and we say it's providence. So we think it's providence that we are here today. The previous speakers already said many thanks to you, Unity people, and me as well. Again and again, I would like to say thank you to René and Christoph Meyer-Grimberg. They have been the engines of this project. But of course, we know that only the two of them could have not done this whole project. So thank you so very much. All the members of Unity Partnership Group, and I could name all of you, but I won't. But thank you so very much. We have this gate, we have this arch as a symbol of welcoming, symbol of being accepted and sheltered, symbol of arriving home and living home, symbol of trust and compassion, because throughout the decades there were many people who shared love. And here I remember that I told my children and Zsoltika to stand by me while I'm speaking. So please come here and do that. I'm sorry. I'm just overwhelmed. Zsoltika just went through confirmation last year. He did great. But when we asked him what's his nightmare, he said to have confirmation again. That's Zsolti, our youngest, and that's Kinga, our daughter, and we have two other sons. They already went home because university is starting in Budapest at the Semmelweis, so they have to be present. Okay. So we have this symbol, the Székely Gate. And when we look at the Székely Gate, we say there are people who love freedom. And now that the Székely Gate here is in St. Paul, then we say, here we have experienced people who actually loved us, Transylvanian Unitarians. And I will stop here. Okay. We pay tribute to Zsolt's great-grandfather, who spent 18 years here. And when he came home to the village and to the whole area, to the whole region, he actually made all the villagers treasure the American dream throughout the painful, dark decades of communism, and you know how dark that was. We pay tribute to Phyllis Jean Jones, and I'm so happy, Stephanie, that you are here, because she came to visit us for the first time but she was the one who called me September 1995 and told me, "Hi, Kinga, well, I visited your parsonage and I didn't see any stoves in there. Would you like to have a stove? Because I will pay you. Build a stove. Winter is coming." We pay tribute to Olga and Tibor Zoltai, who supported and loved us even before the dictator was removed. They were doing many, many wonderful things for the Transylvanian Unitarians, but also Hungarians, Germans, Romas, Gypsies, Jews, and many other nations. We lived there together in Transylvania. We pay tribute to the Reverends Janne and Rob Eller-Isaacs, and I'm so happy, Jonah, you are here, and Hannah, you are here, who continuously loved us, the village, and the people of the village. Is it possible to love continuously? Is it possible to love forever? They proved so. Rob and Jan loved us when we were euphoric and innocent, just out of dictatorship. They loved us when we were in need. They hung in there even though they did not understand the motivations we had. They kept loving us when we bumped into values they did not share. And they kept loving us when we had other priorities, because that's true love. Listening to voices that you don't sound common to us, accepting and tolerating values that are different from ours, still sharing the dream that instead of hurting each other, we can actually help each other grow. And we have bold plans. Well, first of all, we will get home, so we won't stay any longer. And we are so very well pleased and very grateful for your hospitality. You have overdone us and everybody else. The boldest of all the plans we have is to keep this partnership going on for another 35 years. To invite people through this gate and probably advising them, be open, be ready to take in tradition and progress as well. Don't be afraid of traditions, and don't think that you are superior to your ancestors. Be progressive. In other words, don't be afraid to admit when you are wrong, learn from your faults, and accept other people's shortcomings too. That's being progressive. True partnership is about being open to listen and to witness. True partnership is about challenging each other by asking difficult, uncomfortable questions again and again. It's both about finding your experience in the other person's story and saying to the other person, I have never anticipated this in my life. Partnership is about shared joys and sorrows. That's why we eat, drink, dance, work, laugh, and cry together while you are having the special pilgrimage in our village. And of course, here as well, we have done the same. We don't know what tomorrow holds for us. The war in Ukraine is a few hours away from our village. We don't know who will pass away tomorrow. But there is one thing we know. We have a plan, and our plan is to stay alive. Stay alive and be ready to do harmless actions. We plan to survive and mitigate the hate and the sense of revenge many people nourish. We plan to stay alive and outgrow those who share indifference, selfishness, exploitation of the other person or group, and exploitation of nature. We thank Unity Church for being interested in us. We know there are plenty of projects Unity Church is involved in Unity is a vibrant community, a wonderful community. We thank the Minnesota Hungarians for supporting the Gate shipment and for being present in many, many ways in our lives and the life of the partnership. We did finalize the Gate project, thank you, René and Christoph, and many, many other people, and I'm sure you are all here today, and we say a special and grateful thank you. We experienced love being here every day and every minute. We go home with bold plans. God bless you. Isten áldjon.
It's a dangerous thing to be invited to speak last at an event that is outside when it's colder than expected. It's a dangerous thing for organizers to ask two preachers to go last. But we will try and keep things to the point. The topic I've been given this morning is the future of partnership. What this long friendship between Unitarians in St. Paul and Unitarians in Homoródszentpéter will look like for the next 35 years. But to do that, it's right to take a moment to consider what partnership, pilgrimage, and legacy look like in our lives. For some time now, Unity Church has talked explicitly about moral owners, the people that we are in service to, that have some claim on what we do here. We say it like this: the moral owners of Unity Church are those who long for a beloved community and who see Unity Church as an instrument to that end. So here's the first important thing to say. That definition does not distinguish between St. Paul and Homoródszentpéter. Kinga-Réka Székely, Jim Oberly, and I all meet that same definition. We yearn for the world as it could be and see in this place and in the congregation in Transylvania a way to build the world as it ought to be. We are interested in each other. We are so glad that you are interested in us as well. And it also doesn't mean that we're the same. This is the part where you invited a preacher to speak, right? St. Peter and St. Paul. I've been thinking about Homoródszentpéter and St. Paul. Peter, the rock on which the church was built in Scripture. St. Paul, the apostle who goes out and builds churches and crosses the known world in the first century. They knew each other, and their work was not the same. They often argued, they had differences, but they were working towards the same cause. In this way, perhaps we might think about the work of Homoródszentpéter and the work of St. Paul here in Minnesota. Called to different work, but in relationship with each other. And pilgrimage is one of the ways that we bridge those differences, that we stay in relationship with each other across time and across difference. Here at Unity Church in Minnesota, we talk about how we practice lifelong faith formation that breaks us open and allows us to be transformed. And at its best, this is what pilgrimage does. When we travel, or when we welcome in the stranger, or we welcome in the old friend, we are broken open by our shared humanity. Occasionally, I've heard we are broken open by Palinka, by late night conversations, by moments where we recognize across difference that we ring bells on both continents. We are dedicated to some of the same values of freedom, tolerance, truth. When we are broken open, we can be transformed, seeing in each other the face and hands of God in the world as we share joys and sorrows, eat, drink, dance, work, laugh, and cry together. And the last thing I'll say, I know it's cold and lunch is waiting, is about legacy. The plaque that will eventually stand with this gate dedicates it in two directions. It's dedicated to the life and ministries of the Reverends Rob and Jan Eller-Isaacs, and to the ongoing partnership between our two communities. Rob and Jan are very much here today. We're standing in the midst of their legacy. And I think they would be some of the first to remind us, that pilgrimage teaches us that the world is bigger than any one of us, that we are all dependent on each other, that there is no single irreplaceable person, which is why the dedication goes in both directions, to the legacy of those who have built this friendship across language and ocean, and to the hope of what comes next. The hope is not dedicated to any individual. It doesn't have a name going forward, not to my friend Kinga, not to me, but to the friendship between the two communities, these two churches in St. Paul and Homoródszentpéter. And it is in that hope that we are gathered this morning, and that hope that will keep us going for the next 35 years. May it always be so. To close, before we say our last few words, one of the ways that we gather together in community is to sing together. It's one of the things that holds us together in every country. So,
I'm going to say the one line we usually say as a benediction in Hungarian, but before I do that, I really would like to put out my heart here and say thank you to Reverend Dr. Oscar Sinclair and Nancy and Eilish.
Yeah.
And I really hope that standing next to each other means that we'll be standing next to each other decades as well. So when we do benediction, I raise my hand. You just please stay seated. És mindezek után a gondviselő Istennek áldása, szeretete, jóra vezérlő ereje legyen és maradjon mindig mi velünk és a mi szeretteinkkel. Amen.
And I will just add my thanks to all who have come here from near and far. It has been so good to be together. And so as we go forth from this place, go in peace, go in kindness, go in continued pilgrimage and transformation as we do this journey together. Amen, and blessed be.